Hey everyone, I'm out here in the garage and what I'm going to be doing today is reviewing the Monvict MC-170 soft wire plier. So stay tuned. So if you're new to the channel, just want to welcome you here and hopefully you'll consider subscribing if you like what you see. Also, check out DIY Apprentice on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I post lots of pictures and videos on those platforms before I post anything on YouTube. And occasionally I'll post things on those platforms I don't post on YouTube. Also, check out the website at DIYapprentice.com. And don't forget to hit the like button if you like this video. So what I'm going to be doing today is reviewing the Monvict MC-170 soft wire plier. And full disclosure, I actually did purchase this tool myself, even though I was asked to do a review, because I want to do as impartial a review as possible. So, let's get into it. So who is Monvict? Searching briefly online, I didn't find much information on Monvict. The only thing I could find is their Amazon store that currently sells 4 products. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is look at the packaging of this tool. And obviously the packaging is nowhere near as important as the use of the tool and whether it functions properly. But the packaging on this tool looks pretty nice. You can see right there, Monvict 5 inches. There's the model number MC-170. And then soft wire plier. On the back side, we've got a little more description about the tool. We've got the model number. We've got the cutting capacity. Plastic 2 millimeters, which is around 1/16 of an inch. Soft wire 14 gauge, iron wire 20 gauge, copper wire 14 gauge, and noted here also cannot cut steel wire, so don't use this on steel wires. There are a couple warnings down here. This one says this model is not an insulating tool, so make sure you turn the power off before you use it. And also do not touch the blade with your hand. That's another warning that they put here on the back of the packaging. Down here you'll see made in China. Alright, so let's go ahead and take the tool out of the packaging and take a closer look. Alright, so let's start off by looking at the dimensions of this tool. So the packaging says that it's 5 inches, and it looks like about 5 inches. The opening down here, it opens up to about 3 inches, and I would say the blade length is somewhere around 3/4 of an inch, something like that. Alright, so let's take a closer look at the construction of this tool and its features. So we'll start with the handle first of all. We've got the Monvict MC-170. I like that script. That's pretty cool. The handles themselves are made of a semi-hard plastic. Doesn't feel too bad in the hand at all. And then I also like to pull on the handles of some of these tools when I buy them to see if these are going to be easily pulled off. And it doesn't seem that way. It seems like these are adhered pretty well. Now if you have larger hands, you can see this fits kind of small in my hand there. So if you have larger hands, then that could be a little bit of an issue to use it, but you can also use it like this. I think you still have a lot of power using it this way too, because you're not going to be cutting through really large gauge wire anyway. The hinge point right here feels pretty good. It doesn't feel like it's binding at all. Feels like it moves perfectly fine. So the blade itself is very sharp. I can tell that just by looking at it. And also you'll notice there's an angle on it too, so you can get in there and really get a nice flush cut. Spring on the back right there, that retracts pretty nicely. There's no way to lock this closed or anything like that, but I don't think that's really necessary for a tool like this. You kind of get what you pay for. This tool was around $7 at the time of this video on Amazon. The one thing I did notice about this tool when I pulled it out of the packaging is that it had a little bit of an odor, and I think that may have to do with the oil that's on here, but it had a little bit of an odor that I did not expect. It's not too bad though. Alright, so let's talk about the uses of a tool like the Monvict MC-170. And of course, the cutting capacity we talked about early on is going to be a limiting factor there. As highlighted on the packaging, this tool is not meant to be used to cut steel wire, but I figured I'd give it a shot at cutting some thin gauge electronic component leads. My understanding is that most lead wires today are made of 10 copper-plated steel. So I've got a circuit board here. And I've got a capacitor with some leads. So if you do a lot of electronics work, as I've talked about before, I used to do some electronics work on plasma and LCD TVs, then this would be a tool you could use for cutting off leads. So I'll do a quick cut here. I don't want to cut it to the surface. I'm going to cut it right above the surface here. Cut that off. So you can see it cut off very cleanly. It was very effortless to make that cut. Also, if you do a lot of 3D printing, which I do not do, but I've read that this is a use for this tool also. So I've got some plastic here. I'm just going to cut this real quick. See that? Cut very cleanly also. All right, then we'll try some copper wire. Now, I believe this is 30 gauge if I remember correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that. That was pretty easy, pretty simple. Not much work at all. If you ever have to cut inside of a junction box, you want to cut some 14 gauge wire, maybe you have to get deep in there, then a tool like this would work very well too for that. So I use this tool normally for cutting wire when I'm working with electrical circuits around my house. But you can see here the blade is right there in the middle. So sometimes getting inside of a junction box can be a little bit of an issue. And that's where something like this, especially with this curved design, would come in handy. So I can get right in there if I needed to. There's not going to be very many uses for something like this inside of a junction box, I would say, but just cutting copper wire in general, you can see it does that pretty easily. Here are some other uses included on the Amazon listing. There are probably many others. Also, as we saw, there's no information on the packaging regarding a warranty, but the Amazon listing does mention a 3-year warranty and a 45-day money-back guarantee. On the DIY Apprentice wrench rating scale, I'm going to give this tool a 4.5 out of 5. This tool is very affordable at around $7 at the time of this video. I love the size for working in confined spaces. It cuts cleanly without binding, and I like the angled blade for flush cutting. The only minor negative I found is the slight odor that I mentioned, which I hope will dissipate over time, but it actually isn't that bad. Now, I've only had the tool a few days, so longevity is still a question. But overall, I was really impressed at how well this tool worked. See links in the description below. Comment, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to check us out on social media. And thanks for watching.